Now, what you need to understand about Ventures mode is that when you start out each new season, which lasts anywhere from 1.5 to 2.5 months, you start at level 1 and you have nothing. So what you need to do when each Venture season starts is bring out your farmer, and I highly recommend this loadout if you don't have it already. Archaeologist, Blast from the Past, Saurian Vigor, Saurian Focus, Survivalist, Fuel for the Fallen, High Caliber Harvest, and then lastly, you run Adrenaline Rush and Stationary Hover Turrets. The reason for this is so you can have a streamlined farmer both for Ventures and in the main game. So the way you do things in Ventures, when you first start each new season, you switch it over to no fill. Obviously, with a new season, you'll be looking at level 1 zones. So you go to a zone that has no time limit on the objective, like a Ride the Lightning, or a Fight the Storm, or a Repair the Shelter, things like that you want to pick so you can go into the zone on no fill and farm privately. By farming privately, you can find some new weapons and treasure chests. By using in the zone when you hit your pickaxe 5 times, you can farm up building materials, you can run storm chests, you can do all sorts of things to boost up your resources. Now, the important thing to understand about Ventures is resource management and the grind cycle. And the grind cycle is you begin with a mission that requires building, like a Category 3 or a Repair the Shelter or a Ride the Lightning, and obviously they'll be like levels 1 through 15 early on when you start the next season. And then to continue that grind cycle, you switch to a Rescue the Survivor, and you take a farmer in there or a combat outlander or whatever it is you're working with, and you make it through that. Look for a Destroy the Encampments or a Resupply or an Eliminate and Collect. By doing a Destroy the Encampments mission, you are doing what is called indirect farming, because you're grinding to get the mission rewards and all that done, and the present rewards that are given in-game from each encampment will help you indirectly farm and get your resources back up, and those can vary from coal to ammo, quartz, planks, batteries, you name it. If you do this grind cycle properly, you will be able to save yourself a lot of time and bolster your resources while you are grinding through, and eliminate and collect, where you can kill husks and farm in between saving survivors or eliminating husks. And that's how you efficiently utilize the grind cycle. And if there's a build the radar grid, you do that to buff your building materials after building the towers for easy rewards and farming around that map as well. And then you continue this cycle as long as you possibly can until you run out of building materials. And that's how you efficiently grind. These are 3 key loadouts that I highly recommend using. You've probably already seen this Archaeologist loadout I have. And then the secondary loadout I recommend for Ventures is my base Kyle loadout with Lofty Architecture Plus. That increases building health by 84%. With him as the commander when you put your base down. Supercharged Traps as your team perk. Power Modulation to repair the structure. Electrified Floors to deal damage to the husks every 5 seconds. Frozen Castle to snare them by 15% when they run across tiles that are affected by base. Fully Contained where they take 15 base damage when they attack an area that's affected by the base. And then Mega Base to increase base connectivity range by 1 tile. And then you run Slow Field and Banner. The third loadout I recommend, some of you may have Commando Renegade, some of you may have to find another hero that provides Going Again. Decreases Going Commando cooldown by 30%. Okay, that reduces the minigun cooldown. Then you pair that with Happy Holidays. It reduces your ability cooldowns by 40%, stacks independently from other cooldown reduction perks. And then, of course, you run Mad Tidings from Crackshot, Survivalist from Survivalist Jonesy, Ain't Done Yet from Sergeant Jonesy to increase the duration by 5 seconds, Boomstick from Diecast Jonesy, increased Going Commando damage by 25%. First Cup of the Day, while Going Commando is active, increased crit rating by 10 and crit damage by 100% from Ted here. You do all that, you run Adrenaline Rush and Stationary Hover Turrets, and by the time you finish using this round of the minigun ability, you'll have like a 5 or 6 second cooldown anyway. So in conclusion, to be effective in Ventures, you need to have those 3 effective loadouts to save you time and to be efficient in combat effective, and remember the grind cycle. Farm first, then do a building mission, then do encampments and eliminate and collect, and then finish with rescue the survivors. If there's a resupply after that, do it, and then of course go back to doing building missions again, and you keep that cycle rolling over and over until you have completely finished that Ventures season ahead of time. And another thing I need to stress, you must also complete the challenge quests. As you can see, I've already done pretty much all but one in the Ventures season, and the way you utilize completing the Ventures challenge quests is that you pick the most difficult ones that you have that are the most time consuming, and you knock those out first. The easier ones will happen naturally, like completing this mission or that mission. You want to pick the most difficult ones that are going to take the most time and knock those out as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, because the more challenge quests you complete in Ventures, the faster you are going to level up. The quicker you will be able to farm in higher level zones to get better gear to be more effective. The reason why I covered those 3 character loadouts that I did, on top of, you can obviously use my Willow loadouts if you manage to gather the equipment for them in Ventures as well, if you want. But the reason why I covered those original 3 character loadouts is so that you would have 3 streamlined hero loadouts to utilize in the actual game. And another thing about Ventures that I really need to stress is that you cannot take any of your equipment in there. The only thing that really is active during Ventures that you can utilize from the main game are your traps, okay? Your traps. So if you haven't worked on your traps already, please start working on them now so that you can get caught up and make your Ventures grind less frustrating and a lot easier, because these are going to be your go-to. And yeah, you'll have to down tier craft, of course, by, selecting craft and then hitting the left and right bumpers to cycle through the different tiers. You'll have to do that as well. And another thing I need to note with Ventures, the inventory from the main game is completely separate from Ventures, okay? And in regards to your Ventures inventory as well, you cannot drop players' items to help them out. It simply doesn't happen. The way Epic engineered Ventures, and I think for good reason, is so that basically your player inventory is player specific. So if you drop something, nobody else is going to be able to see it anyway. You've just dropped it. That's just how it works in Ventures, okay? So knowing this, you now understand the importance of leveling up your traps, getting them properly perked and all that, and of course, making sure that you utilize the grind cycle properly that I have mentioned. Start with building, move on to lower maintenance missions, and then farm if you have to in between, and repeat that cycle over and over again. Now that you know all this, you should be better prepared for the coming Venture season with all these details, and I hope you found all the information in this tutorial useful.